What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 342 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. I sound incredibly sick. Don't worry, I feel a lot better than what I sound, but I want to go ahead and get some videos filmed, and so I figured you could just pretend like I'm using the Christian Bale Batman voice, a really bad version of the Batman voice, and since I'm wearing a Batman mask and talking about a Batman book today, I figured that would be appropriate. So today I'm going to talk about Batman, Gotham by Gaslight. This is actually going to be made into a movie in like a month. So I thought this would be a good book to talk about today. This is actually a collection of two short Elseworld stories. Gotham by Gaslight was actually the first Elseworld story. Before Crisis on Infinite Earths, there were imaginary stories, which was basically the same premise as Elseworlds, and then after Crisis, this was the first one with the Elseworld logo. And the first story here is Gotham by Gaslight, written by Brian Augustine, with pencils by Mike Mignola of Hellboy fame, and inks by P. Craig Russell. The second story is the sequel, Master of the Future, also written by Brian Augustine with art by Eduardo Barreto. And I will go ahead and say that a lot of people seem to think of this as a Mike Mignola thing. They really associate Gotham by Gaslight with Mike Mignola. And the artwork here I don't think is as good as Mignola's later work that he would do on Hellboy. In fact, I don't even think it's as good as some of the solo stuff that he was doing at Marvel before Hellboy. Stuff like issues of New Mutants where he was drawing and inking himself. I think that Mignola is a very good artist. I think that P. Craig Russell is a very good artist, but whenever you've got these two guys working with each other, it almost feels like they're working against each other. I think that Mignola inking himself or P. Craig Russell inking himself, both of those are much better products than one of them inking the other one. There were times here when a scene would be set during broad daylight or set in a well-lit room where I felt like it looked a lot like Howard Chaykin's artwork, and I'm not a huge fan of Howard Chaykin's artwork. So the art in the first story wasn't really doing it for me. There were a couple of times when a scene was set in a very shadowy area or was set at night, and I felt like the art worked a lot better. I think that Mignola works very well using shadows in his artwork, as you would know if you've read any Hellboy, but this is not as good as Mignola's work on Hellboy. Since a lot of people think of this as a Mike Mignola story, it's not as much of a Mignola thing as you would think based on all the hype. The story itself is okay. This is the story of Jack the Ripper coming to Gotham City to continue his killings. We find out why Jack the Ripper is doing what he's doing, and it's connected to Batman. Batman comes back to Gotham, or it's Bruce Wayne comes to Gotham to begin his career as Batman around the same time that Jack the Ripper comes to Gotham, and the mystery does not really work here very well. I knew who it was going into this book this time because I've read this story before, so this time when I was reading it, I was keeping an eye on all the clues that this book was offering, and this book is not a fair play mystery. A lot of times you will have a mystery that will just throw the bad guy out there and says, here it is, but they won't actually offer you any clues to figure out who it is before you get to the denouement. This book kind of does that. There is a scene where Bruce Wayne is framed for the Jack the Ripper murders, and at the end of the book, whenever we find out who Jack the Ripper is, it doesn't make any sense with that reveal. It doesn't make any sense how Jack the Ripper was able to frame Bruce. We see that this certain character was at the mansion, and so in theory they could have deposited the knife there, but then we also see later on Jack the Ripper was murdering somebody, so it doesn't work. It doesn't fit the scene. It doesn't make any sense. I feel like this is one of those things where they wanted this to be a mystery story, but then they didn't want to put in an effort to make it a mystery story that would actually hold up. I think that the premise of Batman fighting Jack the Ripper is interesting, and I'm hoping that the animated movie can actually do something with that. And it looks like the animated movie is going to be adding quite a bit to it. It looks like Catwoman is going to be in the animated movie. She was not in this story, so that will be interesting to see. But this story, not as good as I remembered it being from the last time I read this story. Now, the second one, Master of the Future, I think is very good. I would even go so far as to say that it's better than Gotham by Gaslight, but nobody ever talks about Master of the Future. The second one has a kind of Jules Vernean psychopath who is threatening to destroy Gotham with his futuristic machines, and Batman has to come out of retirement. Bruce is considering giving up being Batman because his mission is over. He thinks that the world doesn't need Batman anymore, but everyone else is saying, yeah, we do need Batman. And I like this one quite a bit. I like Bruce's relationship here. I wish that this story could have been a little bit longer so we could have explored that relationship with Julia Madison. I believe it's Julia Madison who's the love interest here. And I really like this. I like Gordon's role here. Again, I wish that this story could have been a little bit longer so we could see more of this world. If that's my only complaint about a story, then I think it's a pretty good story. So overall, I really like this. I like the Master of the Future section a lot more than the Gotham by Gaslight section, but But the Gotham by Gaslight section is not bad. I just don't think it holds up as well as a lot of people seem to think. So those are my thoughts on this book. I hope that you guys liked this review, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your day. Catch you later.